Hello guys, it's Bunch today again with a very special video. Today, I want to be sharing some pretty good bases that worked well for me in Legends League last month. So I just want to start off this video with a disclaimer, and I'm gonna put this statement in the comments as well if any of y'all are watching on mute or just skipping to the bases or whatever. So I just want to say that most of these bases that I'm sharing are made for high legends, for top legends, like top 1000 stuff. So at that stage, minus 290, minus 280, that's considered good defense. So some bases that I'm sharing, that's about how well they did for me, and it's considered good because, well, most other bases, they get 320 on defense. I do have some mid-legends bases that will do well at lower trophies, so I just wanted to make sure y'all know that some of these bases, they might not do as well as you'd expect because they can only work really at top legends. And top legends, has a lot of luck where most of your defenses are because of mistakes by the attackers or them just using completely stupid armies that just don't work. So again, heavily luck based, but these are just the bases that work for me, and I cannot guarantee that they'll do as well as they did for me for you. So just wanted to get that out there, and let's cut right to the chase with the bases. Alright guys, so here's the first base. Just looking at scout view, you can see that this bottom entry looks pretty good, but the CC timing makes sure that the opponent, the attacker, is going to have to use the Warden ability a bit earlier than they want. And they're basically forced to overgrowth out all the damage in the core and possibly all the troops going through the Giga Poison. The Eagle entry, which is also pretty popular, what's the problem with the Eagle entry is that they're just not really good pathing to this monolith and the multi in the core, so they're just gonna do damage for a lot of the attack. And this base I used at mid legends, it got minus 237. That was my result at mid legends. At like, what was I? I think about ranks 3,500, 3,000, 5,000, something like that. But it worked really well for me. I wouldn't recommend using this at top legends because a lot of the top players, they'll know how to attack it. If you look at the traps here, you can see that the top side is all baited because you're expecting more people to enter from the bottom side. The bottom side is more common because it's just the side of the screen that's closer to you and more people are comfortable attacking from that side. So having the Teslas on the back end can stop an RC or kill the troops that are left over. So it can be really unexpected to have the Tesla farm at the back end. Okay, here's the second base. I did use this in mid legends. It's definitely a lot better at mid legends than at top legends. I would not recommend using this base at top 1000 because all the simple entries are defended really well, and the more complicated attacks used by the top legends players, they can absolutely shred this base. And I use this base on both of my accounts at mid legends, and they went to minus 265 and minus 211. Absolutely insane. Minus 211 was absolutely my best defensive day of the season by far. So that's absolutely insane. And looking at this base in scout view, you can see that This monolith and multi in the core are hard to path to. Now you might be wondering, why was there a multi next to the monolith in both of these bases that I've shown today? Now the reason is because the multi by the monolith makes it so that you can't just you can't distract the monolith with a skelly spell, because the multi just kills all the skellies that you think would distract the monolith. So that stops that. And looking at the common entries here, if you go in from the bottom side, like you see that, okay, there's 2 multis, 2 double cannons. That's a lot of value to be getting early on. But the thing is, there's this little split inside this base right here that makes the Root Riders split into 2 groups. And that just takes a lot of firepower away from the attack. And the clan castle on this side just makes it so that you're forced to use the Warden ability earlier on in the base. So if we look at the traps here, you can see that again, this top side is more baited. I have all the skelly traps on this top side to possibly counter an RC entry. The Teslas are pretty symmetrical. Again, the reason is that most people are gonna probably leave the scatters up for the end. So you really just want to make the back end as annoying as possible. And if you notice anything, you might wonder, well, why are the string traps on the outside of the base like this? They're kind of on the outside of the base, but the reason is that Root Riders are only targeting defenses, so they're never gonna walk in between here. They're just gonna go from Archer Tower to Warden Statue or Mortar to Cannon. The only thing that is gonna go in between these gaps is the Valkyries, because Valkyries just target anything. And these string traps can really spring Valkyries away. So that's about it for this base. Alright, here is the 3rd base. And from now on, all these bases are gonna work better at high legends than at mid legends. They're probably not gonna get you the minus 240, minus 220 defenses that will absolutely skyrocket your rank, but they can probably get you a consistent 290, 280 defense at high legends. Now, looking at Scout View, you might think that this bottom side has an easy path to the monolith for Root Riders, but this Rage Core and the CC make it annoying for the Root Riders. Especially, you can't overgrowth too many things at once. If you want to clip the Town Hall, then you're gonna have to skip this monolith and multi. And another thing is, if you clip everything in the core, then you might be saving up a lot of damage for the back end, and you might not have enough troops left for the things for the core. And another thing is these centralized air defenses. They defend dragon attacks way better. So I've only been talking about Root Riders until now because at mid legends and below, that's really mainly what you're trying to defend, like those spam Root Rider attacks, those simple Root Rider entries. But now at high legends, more and more people are gonna use dragons, and they're gonna be pretty good at dragons. So they're gonna be blimping the Town Hall a lot. And you can see that we have a tornado trap here, and that's gonna try to catch the blimp, because you see a lot of people use Clone Hydra, right? Clone Hydra is really popular now. There's not too much clone value near the Town Hall, so most people might try to use their clones for this core. This NATO is going to catch all those loons that they clone, and they're not going to get much value. And this Rage core, with the Rage covering all of that, the multi-Archer Towers and the multi-Infernos, they're going to shred all those loons, and they're going to shred all those dragons. So I would definitely say that this base defends dragons a lot better than it would do Root Riders. We do have, again, these giant bombs where the Root Riders would end up. And these sprint traps are just in the core so hopefully some Valkyries step on those spring traps. And again, these scatter shot compartments are a little baited. You have these spring traps on these compartments for the hogs, for the RC hog puppet, and there are of course some scaly traps to distract the RC for a bit. And there are some outside Teslas here just to make funneling a bit harder. You have this little string trap that might catch a Super Barbarian or two. So that's about it for this base. And I think that when I used it, I also used it on both of my accounts. It went minus 278 on one account and minus 290 on the other. So that's pretty solid at Top Legends. Alright guys, base number 4. When looking at the scout view, you can immediately see all these air defenses stacked up in the core and this raged multi-inferno, multi-archer tower section. And this just stops dragon attacks so well. And these air defenses, I mean, the air sweepers are even staggered so that the giant arrow is harder to take down both of them at the same time. And again, these air defenses in the core make it harder for dragons to snipe them off early, and it makes sure that the dragons are continuously dealt damage in the core. And this raged multi section just make it really hard for loons to get value. Like, it's practically guaranteed that the tornado trap is going to be here to stop those loons. And the damage caused by the town hall and all the splash damage are going to make sure to shred the loons. And if you look at the defenses on the outside of the base, you can see that there's not too much clear pathing for the root riders. This monolith is pretty separated. This multi is pretty separated. Most people would probably try to enter at this bottom side and overgrowth the town hall and monolith together. And the CC does make the warden ability forced early, so that you have this rage compartment dealing lots of damage early to the troops. And let's see all these traps here. Again, of course, the tornado trap is right there to catch loons in the core, and all of these air traps are in the core as well. And again, some baits at the top side for things like the Royal Champion and to kill whatever troops left over. And you see some outside spring traps again. Again, this is going to be for, this one might be for Super Barbarian, maybe. But most commonly, these spring traps are going to try to spring Valkyries to make the Root Rider push just deal less damage. And you have these spring traps at the monolith as well. Again, Root Riders are most likely going to go around the monolith, so if a Valkyrie takes out this elixir storage and goes to the monolith, then she's going to get sprung away. So, overall really solid base here. I did end up using this base in High Legends, and it did minus 272, which is one of the best bases that worked well for me. So, let's move on to this one. Is base number 5. It looks kind of like a common ring base, but it can really mess up the attackers because of how the traps are. Now, started from scout view, you can see that, well, maybe all of these damage areas are pretty easy to funnel. So this cannon can be funneled out pretty easily. This wizard tower can be funneled out pretty easily. And it seems like you can just send the root riders into the damage pretty easily, right? But if you look at the traps are set to counter this entry. Again, you have these spring traps that try to spring away Valkyries. You have all the giant bombs over here because most people, if they enter from, let's say, over this side, they're gonna overgrow Town Hall, Monolith, and probably this Poison Tower back here. So all the traps are here because they can catch some staggering Root Riders that go over there. Again, some Teslas. These Teslas are for pathing. If people come in from, let's say, this side because they want the CC pull early, well, those Teslas are going to make the Root Riders just spread around the entire base and separate. And these Teslas at the back end are just mainly for an RC entry. You have these spring traps that can spring away the hogs from the hog puppet. So, again, overall pretty solid base. Again, we have a NATO at the Town Hall to try to stop a balloon blimp. The air sleepers seem pretty easily to be targeted by dragons, but the main thing about this base is that there's not too much clone value at the Town Hall. Like, you're gonna get the Town Hall in Monolith max with a balloon blip and clones because of that tornado trap there. So the damage that you leave up throughout the base can really trick up attackers. And I did end up using this base at High Legends, and it went minus 281 for me, so not as good as the bases that we've seen so far, but again, it's really solid defense. Anything better than minus 290 is considered to be good defense at top Legends. So let's move on to the next base. Okay, base number 6, the final base for today. And from the onset, you can see this Raged Core with all the splash damage that can really kill a balloon blimp. You can see that these top Legends bases, a lot of these top Legends bases focus a lot more on stopping dragon attacks than Root Rider attacks, and that can be warranted because dragon attacks are a lot easier to bait. You know, you have the blimp all the time for the Town Hall, but you want the core to be separated off. Like, look at all these dead zones that make the core pretty hard to reach for defense targeting units like the Root Riders. And these dead zones also limit dragon pathing to the core as well. So if you look at the traps here, you can see it, well, NATO next to Town Hall, of course, to stop a blimp. Whoops, no scout view. And you have, again, some spring traps for the Valkyries in each of these compartments. And the Teslas are positioned the way they are to make Root Rider pathing to the core a bit harder, because what a lot of people like to do with Root Riders on these bases is they use the King, Siege Barracks, and Queen to funnel out two sides of the base and just create pathing for the Root Riders to go into the middle. And these Teslas just try to make that pathing a bit harder and to make the Root Riders go around all this core. So that's about it. Pretty solid base. When I used this base in Legend League, I got minus 271. That was the base I was using on my second account, the second to last day. You might have seen the last video of mine where I showed my defense log, and this one was the base that went minus 271. And it tripped up a lot of dragon attackers as expected. I got 2 really low percent 2 stars from dragon attacks that their blimp just failed and they had to send the RC for the Town Hall. So good results. Again, another pretty top Legends League base. So yeah, I guess that was the video for y'all. 6 of the best Legends League bases that worked well for me last month. I can't guarantee that they work well for you because of how luck-based Legend League is. But a lot of people have asked me to share the bases that work well for me, and here they are. And this was a pretty long video for just 6 bases, but I tried to make it educational. You know, I tried to point out some stuff in bases that make it work well. So if you want to adjust traps, maybe you know what you're looking to do for them. I might make a separate video on that actually, because I've been tweaking a lot of bases recently, last season, and they've had some pretty good results for me. So keep an eye out for an upcoming video on tweaking bases, I guess. So I should probably stop rambling longer and Maybe y'all can comment about if y'all like hearing me talk about these bases, or if you just would prefer a short video just showing screenshots of the bases next time. So, yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope I can share some more good bases this season with y'all.